Oh, no style points here. No style points here. But you know what? They don't have a column in the NBA standings at any point in the season for style points. They have wins and they have losses, and that is that. And the Knicks, by the absolute skin of their teeth, by the skin of Josh Hart's teeth, escape. No other way to say it. Escape with a win that, say a win they didn't deserve. Did they deserve the win? Did they not deserve? I don't even know what that means. But I do know a few things. I just saw a retweet of Mike Curtis, who I guess covers the Pistons. Monty Williams on the no. We'll get into what happened at the end of the game in a second. Monty Williams on the no call late in the game, the absolute worst call of the season. And I'm going to use that as my entryway into this post game because I am guessing that Monty Williams did not see the Rockets game from before the break. And so aside from the normal stuff about in a 82 game season where you are missing your entire starting front line and you are relying on a 6 foot tall point guard to generate essentially all of your offense, or as big a share of your offense as any team is getting from any one player in the league. And it's been that way for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. You do not feel bad about any win against any opponent. And we'll get to the Pistons part of it because this was not, look, the record is what the record is. This was not a team that the team they played tonight was not an 8 and whatever the hell they are, 8-48 team. And I get that falls a little flat because it's like 8-48 is 8-48. I think the Pistons played really well tonight. And that was going to be my lead-in to this game, this post-game, regardless of whether the Knicks won or lost. I thought the Pistons were awesome. We'll get to Quentin Grimes in a moment, and we'll certainly get to Cade Cunningham. But, that is a team that, and I said it on the Substack thread that I posted earlier today. I'm like, yes, the record is what the record is. They've been the laughingstock of the league for most of the year. Over the last 13 games, there have been the Pistons are like 20th or 21st in net rating, which means that there are 8 or 9 other NBA teams that have performed worse than them for more than a month. So, what's that worth? I don't know. Tonight, I thought it was worth something. This is a team that came out and played with confidence. They played trying to win, and I thought they executed pretty damn well given their limitations. And thankfully for those limitations, I think it helped the Knicks escape with a victory. But I'm sidetracked here because the point that I wanted to make and get back to is that even for all those reasons why you should never feel bad about any win in an NBA season, especially when the Knicks are trying to do what they're trying to do and maintain their spot in the standings here. After the game that got robbed from them in Houston, a couple days before the All-Star break, the last thing I'm about to do is sit here and feel bad about eking one out, potentially aided by a no call. And just to recap what was in absolutely insane final couple of moments. So we'll actually, I'm going to take it back to the Knicks' penultimate possession, which is when they were up by 1, they needed a basket to secure the victory, essentially. They ended up getting a Josh Hart 14-footer, a pull-up that missed. It was a bit of a quick shot. It wasn't it wasn't a quick shot, but it wasn't maybe the best look, but the clock was running out. So whatever, it wasn't the best possession, I guess. And part of the reason I think it wasn't the best possession is because Jalen Brunson, at least from deep, I think had started to tire. And we'll get back to the Brunson of it all in a bit. But so Hart misses that shot, and then Quentin Grimes made as good a finish at the rim, as I think I've ever seen him make. And obviously I've watched all of his NBA games with the exception of the couple he's played with Detroit, which I have not watched. Outstanding finish to put the Pistons up 1. And then again, showing that he was a little bit tired. Jalen Brunson just, I think he kind of ran out of gas in terms of using all of his trickery and moves. And like, again, give the Pistons credit. They threw size on him all night long, whether it was Cade or whether it was Thompson, or if it wasn't size, it was Quentin Grimes. And we know the issues that Quentin Grimes could cause on the ball. And Brunson had to work so hard for his 35 points over 40 minutes that, again, finally ran out a little bit of gas at the end, missed the three, and then there was that absolutely crazy sequence. And I'm guessing the call that Monty is going to spotlight, and that I would imagine, and I have not seen a replay of it, full disclosure, is when Fontecchio got the ball Grimes got the ball, gave it to Fontecchio, and then Fontecchio lost the ball. Josh Hart stole it. There was a lot of contact there, it seemed like. And then after DiVincenzo gets it back, he throws it away, and then re-steals, or they actually credited that last steal to Brunson on Asar Thompson. Maybe that's where the foul was. So really two opportunities to potentially blow the whistle. The refs did not blow the whistle on either play. Brunson finds Hart on a great pass, and Josh Hart makes an absolutely outstanding finish at the rim in what will probably, I think is actually not probably, is his defining game of this season. And he needed one. And then we had some fun at the free throw line in the final couple of seconds, but ultimately, it was enough to secure the victory. It ended up being a 2-point victory. Again, I'm not going to feel bad about it. Especially because of what happened in Houston. But I'm really just not going to feel bad about it, because you don't feel bad about wins in the NBA. You just don't. And the Knicks needed this one, man. Did they ever need it? Because I think what you saw tonight, not what you saw tonight, because we've been seeing it for the better part of a month now, since Randall and OG Anunoby went out, is like, this team is really, they are scrapping and clawing, and I'm not going to sit here and make them out to be like the one superstar and then the little sisters of the poor, because that's not what this is. Like, DiVincenzo has elevated his offensive game this season. He is a serious piece to be reckoned with. They did get the guys from Detroit, who Burks obviously had a game you could forget tonight. I thought Bogey made some big shots. Bogey also had some miscues, to put it politely. On the defensive end, I thought it was a good game by Bogey. One of the shots he hit in the fourth quarter was positively massive. So I thought Bogey was fine. Burks was not. Burks was bad. But like, and then, you throw Josh Hart somewhere in there. Josh Hart, who everybody loves to shit on and drag his name through the mud because of all the things that he doesn't do, or he can't do, or he doesn't do consistently enough. Like, you need Josh Hart. If you're going to win games, if you're the Knicks right now, you need Josh Hart to come up big, not only in the way that we know him to come up big since he's gotten here and doing all of the little Josh Hart things and some of the big Josh Hart things. But you need him to be a little bit more of an offensive force than he's probably, accustomed to being, and that he'd like to be. And tonight he delivered, and needless to say, they don't win the game without his contributions. And forget the last basket. I mean, Josh Hart took 17 shots tonight. Like, there hasn't been many games, since he's been with the Knicks, where he's taken 17 shots from the field, made 8 of them. And most importantly, 3 of 5 from deep to go with 6 assists and 8 rebounds. Again, defining game of his season. And it was already shaping up to be the defining game of his season before we even get to the last basket. So fantastic game from Josh Hart. They are going to continue to need him to win games before they get their guys back. And obviously, like I'm sitting here saying, before they get their guys back, we've been talking about it for weeks. We don't know when that's going to be, which is what makes it tough to forecast anything. But for that, again, to further emphasize the point that I am not beating like a dead horse, it is why you had to get this game tonight. You had to get it with the uncertainty of when these guys are coming back, because the rest of the East is not going anywhere. To say nothing about Cleveland and Milwaukee, who are going to try to run away with the second and the third seed. This isn't even fully about that. This is about keeping your head above water. You got 8 games left now before this West Coast road trip. All of those games will come against teams that are real teams. You know, can they keep eking them out? Can they stay at 500? Because that's what they are now since the OG and Julius injuries. They are 500. They are 6-6. They have done what they needed to do. They needed to stay about that to with those after those injuries. Can they stay there? They're going to need more stuff from Josh Hart, like you saw tonight. They're going to need more stuff like you saw tonight from Dante DiVincenzo, 5 of 10 from 3. That's why, and I'm going to actually divert course for 1 second. I'm going to do my Pistons thing here because, like, we're talking about, like, was it Jalen Brunson's best game? No, because Jalen Brunson's a All NBA, probably second team caliber player this season. So, like, to say this wasn't one of Jalen Brunson's best games, it's not a slight. It's actually insane that we could sit here and be like, oh, 35 points and 12 assists on 11 of 26 shooting in 40 minutes. Not one of his best games, but it's true because it's not. Like, he didn't have it as much, and yet when you go back and look at it, you're like, man, considering all the heavy lifting he did, maybe this was one of his best games of the season. Because especially for stretches of that game, he was their offense. So you got a nice game from Brunson. You got the game of the year from Hart. I mentioned DiVincenzo, 5 of 10 from deep, 8 of 13 overall. Was perfect inside the arc. 21 points on 13 shots. Can't ask for more from DiVincenzo. I thought Hartenstein played a really good game. The Hart basket will obviously go down as the play of the game. The Isaiah Hartenstein block on the Pistons possession that came before the Grimes finish. What can you say? Absolutely outstanding. So Hartenstein played a good game. And McBride, he gave them perfectly fine minutes, made a shot. Sims, I thought, played really well. Bogey was at his best. No, but you look up, you're like, all right, 5-11 from the field, 13 points. Like, he wasn't bad. The only guys who you really could kind of look at and be like, yeah, they didn't have it tonight. I thought Precious came on late with some big plays late, was easily his worst game in weeks. And then Burks, who has frankly just not been great or not been good since he got here. But, like, you had all of these guys on the Knicks playing well, playing good games. I thought they tried hard. I thought the defensive intensity and effort and execution for the most part was really on point. And yet, this was a game late. And you have to tip your cap to Detroit for that. It's not very often. XJ read the stat. Shout out to XJ and Benji who did our watch along. That there were, before tonight, 6 games in the NBA this season in which a player was perfect from the field in a half in which they scored 20 points. Cade Cunningham was the 7th. He was unreal in the first half, and that's the reason why it was a 4-point game at the half as opposed to probably like a 14-point game at the half. So, like, if Cade has even just a decent game or a pretty good game or even a very good game, like a normal very good game, you're sitting there and you're definitely up by double digits at the half. Instead, it was a 4-point game. And then down the stretch, tip your cap, man. Quentin Grimes, got the short end of the stick in some ways here for a few reasons. I think the book has not been fully written. I don't know what you want to say on why things went south. But things definitely went south, and there was friction, from maybe the end of last season's playoffs until this year. And, like, I think he saw the writing on the wall, and I think that kind of factored into the fact that he was playing in his own head a little bit for a lot of this year because he did not take the step forward that many anticipated. But this is a third-year player from the first game of this year and for much of his time here in the Knicks, asked to occupy such a difficult role, which is like, you're not going to get a chance to dribble around and, like, get into a rhythm, really get a good feel for the games that you're in, because we have other guys to do that. And we want the guys who are better than you to do those things. And so what are you going to do? You're going to wait for your opportunity. And when you get the opportunity, you're going to shoot it and you better make it. And if you're not going to shoot it, well, you better be effective on attacking closeouts, finishing at the rim, making the right pass. Like all these things, that's a hard role. And did he always succeed in that role? No. This year, again, you could argue he kind of veered off where his progression seemed to be heading, but it was not for lack of work. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Nobody, while he was with the Knicks, or very few players, almost nobody, worked as hard as Quentin Grimes. So for Quentin Grimes to come back tonight to the Garden and to have that moment in the fourth quarter where he scored 14, think about that, 14 fourth quarter points for Quentin Grimes, man, absolutely outstanding stuff from the kid. I think he's going to have a really nice NBA career. I don't know what the ceiling is. Despite this, I'm still not broken up about the fact that the Knicks traded him. I don't think it's going to be something that they'll regret in any significant way, but he is a good NBA player. And it was just a really good moment for him. So give the Pistons credit, but give the Knicks a little bit more credit because the Knicks won this game as only the Knicks can. They fought and scrapped and clawed and did all of the things that Thibodeau teams seem to do. And they did it just well enough to eke out a victory. Trying to think if there's any numbers that I want to spotlight before we get to the rest of the show. Pistons finished tonight shooting 47% from three. Again, tip your cap. Tip your cap to the Knicks. 15 offensive rebounds. Some good stuff there. And I'll give one more tip of the cap to the Knicks. How about this? And this did not have the feel of a great passing game. The Knicks had 31 assists on 41 made field goals. Maybe Andrew can check the assist rate on Basketball Reference on the advanced stats version of the game log. I don't know that the Knicks have had an assist rate as high as they did tonight. That is outstanding stuff. And I did think, despite the fact that they needed to go one-on-one with Brunson on a lot of possessions, I thought they moved the ball really well. I thought the ball was flying around. 31 assists, 14 turnovers you don't love. You're more okay with it because of the 14 assists. And then this is the stat that won them the game. They turned the Pistons. This is the one thing you could do to the Pistons. It's the one thing that continues to probably lead to losses for them. 17 Piston turnovers led to 30 Knick points. Really, really, really good stuff there. That is all I got, as GMAC is telling me to hold, please. I don't know if that means he's not ready to go to the next thing or if he's just looking up the stat.
I'm looking up the stat. I'm solely looking up the stat. That's all.
The one downside tonight, other than the fact that they needed to get to the final seconds to beat this Pistons team, which was obviously not ideal, is this is obviously the first game of back-to-back. So you're heading into the Pelicans game tomorrow, which granted is at home, so that helps. With Brunson having played 40, Josh Hart having played 42, and that's actually, you know what? That's really it. DiVincenzo 32, that's fine. Nobody, Achu at 34, that's nothing for him. So really, it's just Brunson and Hart. And Hart, you feel like he's going to be able to be okay. Having played 42 tonight and going out and giving it a good effort tomorrow. It's really Brunson that's the concern because he was kind of gassed towards the end. So we'll see if he could summon yet another amazing performance as GMAC joins me up here on the stage to transition to the rest of the show. Did you get the stat?
What was the assist rate?
You're muted unless I.
Oh, hold on.
Oh no, I did something wrong. My headphones weren't plugged in.
Sorry. Oh, that's what happened. Okay, I thought I said earlier that I'm trying to get the stat and you didn't hear me at all. What was the Knicks assist rate tonight? You're asking if this was their highest assist rate of the season, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
It's 31 divided by 41, 75.6%.
They haven't had a higher one. The highest they've had all season was the Pelicans game. Was the Blazers game? Excuse me. The game was over in the second quarter.
Yeah,
they had a 70% assist rate that night. It was 112 to 84. It's actually only the second time this season that they've had an assist rate of 70 or better. They did if you remember back to the second game of the season when one Rowan Alexander Barrett Jr. Showed us a flash and went, yes, the Hawks game when they won 126 to 120. 69.8 was if you want to round up, they've had at least a 70 twice this year.
But like, so this is the first time they've been above 70 in a non-blowout, and it's in a game that was this tight. It says something. All right. Shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. Excited to see what people want to talk about tonight. I hope the vibes will be positive. Again, I know it's the Pistons. I know nobody wanted this to come down to having to make a shot at the end, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Mythic Monty starts us off. They still don't have a backup point guard to run that unit. No, they don't. They don't have a backup point guard to run that unit, and they're not going to get one because the trade deadline passed. So this is going to be about cobbling it together and hoping that the whole can be greater than the sum of the parts, at least in that specific respect of being able to look like a functional offense against, playoff defenses. Well, again, if I had nickel already for every time I've said when they get healthy, but like, assuming they get healthy, they should be able to do that. Because then you're not asking Burks to do more than he's capable of doing. Because right now it's like you're seeing the bad stuff from Burks. Thanks, Mythic Monty. As my older daughter is down here joining me because the younger one wouldn't go to sleep. Busy, what's going on, Busy? Dante DiVincenzo with the back body drop for the win. Hello. Dante, Andrew, I hope my mic's okay. Dante DiVincenzo with the back body drop for the win. LOL when WWE meets the NBA. Yes. I want to see the replay. It's haven't seen it. Was it egregious? I'll if it was egregious, it was egregious. I'm not gonna argue with it. I'm also, again, not gonna feel bad. Thanks, Busy. Appreciate you, man. Hush Sue, what's going on, Hush? I guess the refs gave us back that Houston call. LOL. Yeah. I mean, look, that's not how this works. But in my mind, I'm gonna have a clearer conscience tonight, keeping in mind that Houston game for sure. Not gonna argue. Thanks, Hush. Kevin, what's going on, Kev? How you doing, buddy? Oh my God! Thank the Lord we survived. I'll say it. We got a great whistle all night. I don't know about a great whistle all night. The Pistons had a pretty healthy free throw discrepancy at the half. I thought Brunson, there were 2 or 3 calls that he could have gotten and he didn't get. But when it mattered, yes, they did. Make up for Houston, though the call wasn't nearly as bad. Just survive right now, please. That's all it's about. I think it doesn't matter how you come across these wins. Like I saw that like Zion and CJ McCollum are questionable for the Pelicans game tomorrow night. We'll see if they play. We'll see if it matters. Like the Pelicans have overcome losses of their players before. They've actually gotten quite good at doing that. But like if the Knicks get a win here at some point in the next couple of weeks because the other team is missing guys, like again, you don't feel bad. You can't feel bad, especially if you're the Knicks, who after what has been a lot of years of really good injury luck, finally bit the bullet. Thanks, Kev. Abdoulaye Diallo, what's going on, Abdoulaye? How are you? Tibbs' face at the end there says, I'm too old for this shit, man. He ain't the only one. This fucking team. Yeah, no, man. But he'll. I haven't listened to his press conference. I haven't seen any quotes from his press conference. But I would imagine the only thing he cares about is that they got the victory, because that's all he ever cares about. He doesn't care how they get it. But he knows how important wins are right now. And they are vital, because, and I guess it's as well. No, I'll save a standings update. We'll do a standings update in a little bit. Alex, what's going on, Alex? Shout out to the Villanova trio for carrying tonight. Hart was awesome all night. Tibbs, please listen to me and start giving Burks minutes to Deuce. Well, look, they're not going to bench Alec Burks. Alec Burks is an imperfect player. He was brought here to be, I kind of look at, like, for me, assuming they ever get fully healthy, so the starting lineup we've become accustomed to: Josh Hart, 6-man, backup center playing 20 minutes a night, and then you got Bogey, and then you got Burks. So, like, we're talking about a ninth man here, to just keep it fully in perspective. Burks was brought here to be a ninth man. I think he's capable of being a ninth man. And I think he's a guy that throughout his career has always gone through ups and downs. His inconsistency is part of why he has never gotten like a big deal and never gotten a long-term contract, because teams look at him and they're like, they see the good and they see the bad. And it's like, how much can we really count on this guy? Can we count on him to be a starter? No, probably not. But, like, he's going to be fine. He's a vet. He's going to be good. He's going to help them win games. And I know tonight it didn't look good, but he's going to be better. Thank you, Alex. Hashu with another one. When OG and Randall running the second unit, when they're back, Bogey and Burks will look a lot better. Like you took the words out of my mouth. Yes. I think Benji was too harsh on his critique. I mean, look, Benji's calling it like he sees it. And by the way, nobody likes Alec Burks better than Benji Ritholtz. And as far as Bogey, like, in fairness to Benji, you saw the warts tonight with Bogey. And by the way, you know who else saw the warts tonight with Bogey? It's Tibbs. Because on a night when you could argue, and this is a tough one, because, like, what was more important down the stretch of that game, offense or defense? With how much Brunson was kind of gassed, you could at least make the argument that offense was more important. But putting that aside, if you're going, so we went with Precious down the stretch over Bogey after Precious had not had a good game. So I think like Tibbs, I think feels like, okay, this is not a guy that is maybe fully in my circle of trust yet. And he's right to feel that way, because on the defensive end, it has not been great so far. Now, I want to see Bogey when he's in A, better defensive ecosystem, and B, defending primarily against backups. Because what is he going to be called to do in the playoffs? He's going to be called upon to play, I don't know, 14 to 18 minutes a game, mostly against backups, like you're pointing out, in which he should be able to survive those minutes defensively while giving you a real spark on offense. They're asking him to give them a little bit more than he probably should be giving a team that's competing for home court advantage in the playoffs, but everybody's being asked to do more right now. So everybody's got to step up to the plate. And he wasn't bad tonight. I didn't think he was bad, but, he was fine. Thanks, Hush. Andrew P. What's going on, Andrew? Let your players play. Grimes, Flynn, and more. So this is obviously a critique of Tibbs. And it's a fair one. It's a fair one, because this has been, I think, a criticism that has dogged him for his entire career, in terms of having guys where you look at what they do in short stints, you look at maybe flashes that they give, and Thibodeau does not, he keeps a short leash. Now, what I will politely point out is I want anyone to show me a player that Tibbs has had a shorter leash on, that has gone on to do massive things elsewhere in the league. What player has he held back to the point where they went on another team and all of a sudden it was this incredible revelation where, oh my God, I can't believe the Bulls or the Wolves or the Knicks had this guy and he was just like squirreled away. And like, I haven't seen it. Maybe it happens with Grimes. We'll see. That's number one. And number two is, and this I think is more to the point, the reason why the consensus opinion around the league is that no coach will get more consistently out of his teams, at least during the regular season, than Tom Thibodeau. And you won't find many people who would argue that point, is because he cherishes every possession of every minute of every quarter of every half of every game. And that means if he does not trust that you're able to do the thing, he's going to let somebody else do the thing. And until you could prove that you do the thing, he's not going to trust you. And that's a gift and a curse. It's a gift in the fact that it keeps your ceiling high, but you could argue, as you are, Andrew, I think that it maybe lowers keeps the floor high. I hope I said keeps the floor high, but does it lower the ceiling? You know, and I think that's a great question. I'm going to show, my daughter just made a lovely picture, colored, a lovely picture of Luigi. Very good job, Seth. From Isabel's coloring book, my other daughter's coloring book. Can you sign it? That would be lovely. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? Important win. Couldn't agree more. That Quentin Grimes might be a good player. Yeah, he's good. He had a big moment. Adrenaline was flowing. He's going to be, I think the biggest question for me is he a starter on a good team? Is he a starter on a good team? And and if that sounds like, why? How can you be so skeptical of him? Like, okay, well, how many good teams are there in the league in any given year? 10, 12, technically 15, I guess, if you want to talk about teams that have more wins than losses, whatever. If he starts, he's going to be a starting two guard. So really, the question is Quentin Grimes ever going to be one of the best, let's say 12 to 15 starting, or 12 to 15 two guards in the league? I don't know if I'm, even after this was a really good game, I don't know if I'm quite there. Now, does that mean you sell him for a bag of beans? No. Did the Knicks, is it possible we look back at what the Knicks got in this trade and they're like, man, that's, you had to value that asset a little bit more than you did? Absolutely. It's possible. We'll see. Is Quentin Grimes going to be like a low-end starter? Is he going to be a high-end eighth man? I don't know. We'll see. He's a good player. Thanks, Dan. Hush Zoo with another one. I'm going to miss Grimes. You saw his potential here. Look, he was I don't want to call him a great Knick. He did everything that was asked of him while he was here, within reason. 25th pick in the draft. What more can you get? What more can you want? Stevens Guillaume, what's going on, Stevens? What the F was that last possession? All three Nova Knicks with 20-plus points. Is that the first? I don't know if that's the first time that's happened. Maybe Andrew could look up. My daughter's making faces here. Kudos to the Pistons. They have a bright future if they could get it together. Yeah, you know what? If I could just, and I'm going to try to choose my words carefully here. I saw that. I'm not going to read the whole thing because maybe I should read the whole thing. I'm going to read the whole thing. This is Monty Williams' quote after the game. Where's the New York media now? The absolute worst call of the season. No call. And then enough's enough. We've done it the right way. We've called the league. We've sent in clips. We're sick of hearing the same stuff over and over again. We had a chance to win the game, and the guy dove into Asar's legs, and there was no call. That's an abomination. So he's obviously focused on the DiVincenzo steal. You cannot miss that in an NBA game, period. And I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of our guys asking me, what more can we do, coach? That situation is exhibit A to what we've been dealing with all season long, and enough's enough. You cannot dive into a guy's legs in a big-time game like that and there be a no call. It's ridiculous, and we're tired of it. We just want a fair game called, period, and I got nothing else to say. I want a fair game, and that was not fair. I am done. And then I believe he walked off. Here's what I am going to say about that. Have some awareness. Have some awareness of the fact that I would think, I would argue, and I don't think it's really a hard argument to make, that most NBA observers, most people who watch this league to some serious degree would argue that no coach has done more to hold his team back this season with his lineup decisions and rotation and all that sorts of things than Monty Williams. It's tough to be the worst of 30 coaches. And I think he has been the worst of 30 coaches by a comfortable margin. So for you to get up there and act like because the wording there I thought was like, this has been building up the whole season and this and that. Like, no, that's not why you're 8-49, dude. Like, take some ownership. And he has not taken 1 ounce of ownership that I've seen, at least, all season long. So forgive me, Monty, once a Nick, always a Nick, Monty Williams, for not having all of the sympathy in the world for you after what transpired last night. Thank you, Stevens. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Right now, they are a better team than the We Here squad. But post-OG Julius Randle injury, this has felt like a bizarro version where you swap Randle and Brunson with Brunson as a one-man offense, willing wins. Hashtag 3 seed. This is a great, so 3 seed, I would not bet on a 3 seed right now. And that is more to do with the fact that I think the Cavs are very good, and I think the Bucks are starting to put it together, than any commentary on the Knicks. I think the Knicks are going to find a way to finish with 50 wins one way or the other. I don't know if that's going to be enough. That's enough to get a 3 seed. We'll see. As far as comparing this team to the We Here team, like a bizarro version of that, man, I mean, the We Here team was a 500 team before they got Derrick Rose. I think the We Here team with Rose, make sure I'm think twice before I say this. I think they're a little bit better than the version of the Knicks that we have right now with no OG, no Julius, no Mitch. I think the Derrick Rose We Here team is better. And that is not a slight on Jalen Brunson, who is playing out of his mind. And for as much as Julius made second team All-NBA this season, I think this version of Jalen Brunson is better than the best version of Julius that season. But as a team, I think the Derrick Rose version of the We Here team, because they fit so well together. That team, they knew exactly what they were doing every night. They knew, and they had a ceiling, but so does this team right now without their guys. So we'll see. Haitian Farag, what's going on, Haitian? Detroit came to play and thought they'd lay down, and they didn't. And we thought they'd lay down, and we didn't. And they didn't. I'm gonna get back to that. We played with our food and lucked out in the end. Second unit disjointed without real attention grabber like Randle. He would have ate tonight. Oh, I mean, with Randle, but you could say this about a lot of games, right? Without Randle, this is a different night, I think. Or with Randle, this is a different night. Where I'm going to push back on you, Haitian, and it's rare because me and you agree like 95% of the time, if not more. I thought the Knicks came out serious tonight. I mean, you want to tell me the very opening of the game when they were down, I think they were down 17-10, but the Pistons were making threes left and right. I'll look, maybe if I go back and rewatch it, I'll feel differently. I thought the Knicks effort was good tonight. I thought they took this Pistons team seriously. I thought any errors in execution on either end of the floor was due far, far, far more to what the Pistons were doing and bringing to the table, and the fact that they were putting pressure on the Knicks at both ends. So yeah, I don't know if we're in disagreement here, but I just have to. I'm not going to kill the Knicks tonight in any way, shape, or form. Look, they were 2 seconds away from losing this game, and they needed the benefit of a call probably to get the win. And yes, would the tone of this post game be very different if like the whistle blew or like Hart doesn't make that shot or whatever? Like, yeah, it would be a different tone, but at the same time, like I can't forecast what I would do in that alternate universe. I think my tone would be more like, man, we could be in for a really tough next 3 weeks, as opposed to the Knicks should be ashamed of themselves for losing this game. I think that would have been my tone, but who knows? Thanks, Asian. Anthony Reedy. What's going on, Anthony? Credit to Tibbs for drawing up that absurdly complicated last play, just like we planned. Yeah, man. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. What can you say? Dom, what's going on, Dom Cappuccini? How you doing, brother? For those who needed to be reminded, this is why we have Josh Hart. I was kind of waiting for someone to give him his due. A win is a win, and I'll take it, especially with Indy losing. So now I'll do the standings update. But first, some Josh Hart love. I mean, you can't buy. Like, here's the thing: is Josh Hart worth his contract? Probably not. He's paid a lot of money to do a lot of things, and I don't need to say what they are because they were on display tonight. But like, considering the things that he doesn't do, he's paid a lot of money, or he doesn't do consistently. Shoot. Basically, that's it. Shoot. That said, in a league that just like to use a name that I don't know if I'm supposed to say this anymore, but like where you're not going to find the Charles Oakleys anymore. Like those guys are gone. When you get a guy like this who gives you this sort of just spark and energy and effort and grit and all the things that Josh Hart does really almost all of the time, that is kind of worth its weight in gold. And it can make a difference. And it did make a difference, obviously, tonight. But like when they have I'll say it again, when they have all their pieces back, like it'll stick out even more. And it did stick out a lot last season. Now, can you overextend Josh Hart? Yes. Can you put him into a role where he's asked to do too much and it starts to be diminishing returns? Absolutely. But for what he's able to do and the rarity of having these sorts of players who could do those things and bring enough skill and ability to the table to make you feel like you're not just running out a try-hard 12th man, like there's a reason why like a lot of coaches would be dying to have this guy. Every coach in the league would love to have this guy. I mean, you heard Spo gush about him over the summer in the Olympics. Do a standings update in a second. Another little art project from my daughter here, a little ice pop. Popsicle stick, excuse me. I don't know why she decided to do the Pistons colors. That was an interesting choice. Gonna have to talk to her about that later. Quick quote from Quentin Grimes per Fred Katz. I think everybody on the team, everybody in the country thought Asar got fouled on the loose ball. Game goes a totally different way. If he gets fouled, then we get that call, but that's just how it is. Yeah, I don't think anybody in the country really gives a shit about this game. Sorry, Quentin. As far as the NBA standings. So, yes, Indy lost and we won. So, if Indy had won against Toronto, both nice games from RJ and Quickly. Let's just say Indy won and Andrew, sorry, I'm not reading the chat. There's another one from Dom. But I'm going to finish the thought in a second. Another one from Dom. Oh, and kudos to the NBA for giving us the makeup home game. Best of luck to Quentin and Evan. Not going to lie, I was a little proud of Quentin in the fourth. You should be. And also, don't forget Malachi Flynn. Malachi Flynn, a big shot there in the fourth quarter. I thought he played a really nice game. All three X-Necks played a nice game. Yes, Evil Dante. Thank you, Andrew. And yes, thank you to the NBA for giving us this home game. Do they win this game if it's in Detroit? I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. Standings update. So had the Pacers won and had the Knicks lost, which two very feasible possibilities, the Pacers would be sitting here a half game back of the Knicks, as would the Sixers. So had the Knicks lost tonight and had the Pacers won, I know I'm talking about a universe that does not exist, the Knicks would be 11.5 back, Sixers would be 12 back, Pacers would be 12 back. Instead, we got the win, Pacers got the loss, Knicks 10.5 back, 2.5 back, 2 back of Milwaukee, 3 back of Cleveland, keeping them within reach. 1.5 game lead on the Sixers. That's important. And 2.5 game lead on the Pacers. And if you're going even further down, 3 game lead now on Miami, who's playing tonight without a bunch of their guys in Sacramento. Remember, got to turn on that game. And 3 game lead on the Magic in 8th. So, like, again, big picture wise, I know we're still thinking, a lot of people are still thinking 3 seed or maybe even 2 seed. Knicks lost this game tonight. They'd be 2 games ahead of 8th. Like, and again, the upcoming schedule, no picnic. This team has limitations right now. So every freaking win is important. And this certainly was. Okay. Dom the Dentist. What's going on, Dom? 35-12 and one of the most unpleasant Brunson games I've watched. Ruined my workout. LOL. Yeah, it was a funky game from him. No two ways about it. Funky in the sense that, like, in one specific sense, he clearly felt the need to go to the 3 towards the end of the game. He ended up taking, Brunson did, 11 threes in this game. I don't think he's attempted that many threes in a while. And he's your closer, and like he did it. Listen, he had a couple baskets there in the final minutes. Big baskets in the final minutes where we thought they were going to be enough, and then the Pistons just wouldn't go away. But also, like, we've gotten to the point, and this is a testament to why Brunson, I would argue, should be 5th in the MVP. A lot of, on it, everybody's MVP ballot, is because we've gotten so spoiled. We've gotten so spoiled that when you need a big shot, you expect he's going to make it. Always. Without fail. And so when he misses, it's like, oh my God, what's wrong? So, yeah. Brando, what's going on, Brando? Nova Knicks and Precious Achiuwa huge. Horrible from AB and Bogey. I'd flip a little bit on that. I thought, yes, Precious Achiuwa came up big in the end. I did not think it was his best game. And to say that Bogey was horrible, like, to me, that screams of I'm going to be hard on the new guys. Burks was bad. To say that this is a horrible game from Bogey, I think it's a little bit much. A little bit much. Dom the Dentist with another one. Bogey and AB for Grimes, Flynn, and Fournier. Who says no? I'm sticking with it, man. I'm very excited about what Bogey's going to do when he's in his proper role, and I'm still excited about what Burks is going to do when he's in his proper role. Again, great game from Grimes tonight. Thrilled for him. Big for the Pistons to get a player like that in there, who's what they needed. He's a shooter. I'm excited to see how these guys look when everybody's back. Thank you, Dom. Freddie, what's going on, Freddie? 1687. The refs owed us one from the Rockets game at the end, so I'll take it. You and me both. Both Harts were big late. Yes. Again, the Hartenstein block. I didn't look it up, but it felt like Hartenstein had a number of offensive rebounds that were important too. This game shouldn't have been this close, though. Bring our guys back. Again, like to say the game shouldn't have been this close. I don't know. Not pushing back against you. I don't disagree, but like it also implies like the Knicks did something or didn't do something like they should have done or should have done. Like, I thought they played well. Thanks, Freddie. All right, we got a couple from Ja here. Always entertaining, Ja, so focused. Hello, friends. I don't mean to be a negative Nancy. Well, I'm going to beg to differ in a moment. But when you trade with a bad team and you're a good team, isn't it disconcerting for the pieces you traded away to play better than the pieces you got? Let's get to the next comment from Ja. Thank you, Ja. Pistons played their heart out, but me, I'm worried about AB. I think that's a loaded question / comment because Burks and Bogey are going from a situation where those guys have not played a game that has mattered, really mattered in 2 years, almost, or whereabouts. And I'm not saying that they're not capable of still coming up big in a big spot for a team, because like they both have the pedigree. Like the Knicks saw it with Burks, like we've seen it with Bogey. He's performed in the playoffs. These guys are capable of it. They've been here for like 2.5 weeks. So I think kind of getting used to what is a very new situation. Whereas Grimes, like that dude, I think has to feel like the shackles are off in terms of like the freedom now he's going to get. Because again, you're going from a team where, and I think you felt it watching him. There were games where some like possession after possession, every possession, this guy played like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. And now he gets to go play for a team that's 8-49. And if he goes out and he has a terrible game or he has a great game, like nobody gives a shit. So I thought for him to look like he did tonight and to be feeling himself tonight, I mean, again, I'm thrilled for him. He earned it. But to draw the conclusions about, well, you can't make this trade because of how these guys look in these respective situations. Here's what I want to see. I want to see the situation that the for Bogey and Burks that the Knicks traded them to be in before I start making any sweeping proclamations. Because we still have not seen that situation or anything resembling that situation. I want to see that. I want to see that situation. And then we could talk about the trade again. Robert Cross. Hello, Robert W. Cross. How are you, my friend? First time, long time. It's your boy, John. I share Big Thread Ben's concerns on the trade. Of course you do. Good to see Grimes play well and the Knicks get the win. Yep. Look, I think as of right now, I bet if you ask most Knicks fans, like, who watched tonight, would you do the trade over again? Most people say no. And I think there's still a thought that from a lot of people that maybe you sold low on Grimes. It's always easier to feel that way and think that way when the guys you got have not looked great so far. It's been a handful of games. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Again, it's been a handful of games or whatever it's been, 6 or 7 games maybe. In a situation that it is not the situation they're going to be in for the games that this team made this trade to win. They're not there yet. I know they need to get there, and I know what Burks and Bogey are. That's why it's this weird conversation. We got to get there first. And like part of my whole argument with Benji yesterday on the pod or today on the pod was that they needed to get to the finish line, which is why you make this trade. Well, if these guys aren't helping them get to the finish line, then doesn't it turn the trade? It's fair, and they need to be better. They have not been as good as the Knicks have needed them to be. Burks especially. Bogey, I think, has been okay. Better than people are giving him credit for. I think they can be better. I think they will be better. Thanks, Robert. Alex, what's going on, Alex? Conspiracy theory. Monty was upset because he wants to get fired ASAP and collect his money, and Detroit's competitive effort tonight ensures he's back next year. I mean, I said what I said on the pod, and it was like half joking that Monty has a bet with someone in the league that I bet I could coach so badly that they'll fire me after the season and pay me all that money. I mean, he's truly done an abhorrent job. I mean, the quote from him, like several months into the season, where he was like, it turns out spacing, we're better when we space the floor. Like that's like, imagine being a Piston fan and hear that quote from your head coach who's getting paid $85 million. You know? Thank you, Alex. Sam Garcia's dad. What's going on, Sam Garcia's dad? I'm not amused that we can't seem to beat Detroit comfortably, but Villanova for the win. Damn. Brunson, DiVincenzo, Hart, Bogey, and Josh Hart, who is all Hart. I think the contradiction is apparent right there, right? Can't beat Detroit easily, right? But yet, all these guys deserve praise, right? So, obviously, Detroit did something good tonight. If you needed all those guys to play well, and they did play well, and you were still in this tight game down the stretch. So, this is the reality of their situation. There's a lot of talent in the league. And more than there being a lot of talent in the league, you still got a lot of teams playing to win games, you know? And even some of the teams that like shouldn't be playing to win games are clearly still playing to win games. Like the Pistons tonight. I mean, look at them. They have nothing to play for. And yet they played that game like it was a freaking playoff game. You know, look at what Charlotte's been doing lately. The Rockets are still like fighting. Memphis like never gives up, although I think they were getting killed by Brooklyn earlier this season or earlier tonight. So yeah, but yeah, Villanova guys came up huge. Maybe their best game, the three of them together, up there. Kane Marco, Take Mob General, what's going on, man? Man, losing Grimes really sucks. I'll miss the kid, but I'm sure glad we have Hart. Go Knicks. Yeah. Let's see what he does. Let's see where his career progresses. I liked him. I think the ship had sailed here. As for the reasons the ship sailed, again, I don't think we've fully gotten the whole story on that. But it did. I think they were always going to trade. It never made sense to me, and I said this on multiple pods. It never made sense to me that they were going to keep him past the trade deadline when, if you looked at the rotation, I did not see any world where he was going to have a significant, where they would trade for someone at the deadline and keep Grimes, and where Grimes was still going to have any sort of a role of significance in the playoffs. I thought we were on track for a situation where he was going to be like a 5-minute a game, like up, maybe play him in the first half sort of player if the team was fully healthy. And again, assuming they made another trade, a different trade that did not involve sending out Grimes. Just looking at the minutes and looking at how the rotations go, like that's, and so if that was where this was headed, like, so then you're going to trade him this summer, which all the reporting was consistent. Like they were either going to trade him before the deadline or the summer. Like his value would be even lower. So I don't know. Thanks, K Marco. Kevin Danishevsky with another one. Standings check 2.5 over Indiana. Thank you, Toronto, RJ, and IQ. My goal is 5-5 up until March 14th when OG should be back. Don't fall to the play-in, and I'm happy. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of said the same thing. You're preaching to the choir here. Go 4-4 over the next 8 games. Find a way. Find a way to get one of these next 3 games. So, yeah, there we go. All right, I got two doozies from Busy. Andrew's letting me know. What do you make of the young Knicks players struggling here and then going to other places and looking like better versions of themselves? I'll wait for the next one until I respond. What can your beloved head coach do better in the future so we don't have to trade them over the hill, trade them for over-the-hill specialists, a pair of second-rounders, or in RJ's case, sell at the lowest value. You know, I will say this. If you look at what RJ has done in Toronto, he's played consistently. He's made shots. That's the biggest thing. He's made shots. He's consistently made shots. That's really what it comes down to. He is who he is. He is a guy who I think got to a place by, I don't know when it was kind of solidified that he was just going to be a role player, a high-end role player. But like, you know, there was a zone here where RJ was going to be at the high end of the role player zone or the low end of the role player zone, save for, you know, a few people who just maintained against all reason and available evidence that there was still some kind of star in waiting with him. So like he's been on the high end of the role player zone, playing in games that mean nothing. Okay. Let's see how he does on a team where it's a better team, where he's being, you know, again, asked to do more, asked to make shots with stuff on the line, asked to, again, fit in and be more of a cog, which is what he had to be here because there were better players than him here. As far as what Emmanuel Quickley has done in Toronto, he was great here. He's been great there. So I don't see where your argument holds any water there. Obi went to his basketball nirvana in Indianapolis with a tailor-made system for him, tailor-made rotation for him, tailor-made starting center to play alongside, tailor-made point guard, and he got benched. And Quentin Grimes, how many games has he played? He's played, 3-4 games? He had a great fourth quarter tonight. Busy. You need to start appreciating what you have, man. I love you, but you get so angry about this stuff with the coach in particular. And I really do think it holds back your ability to enjoy what has been unequivocally the best era of Knicks basketball since the 90s. And for any misgivings that you may have about the man who is at least partially responsible for guiding the ship, at least have enough appreciation for the reasons why he is responsible for the good things, so that you're not constantly harping on the negative. Because that's like, this is fun, man. This is awesome. This team is really freaking good. They have grit. They have toughness. They fight and claw and scrap more than any team in the league. In large part because of the coach and the culture he sets. And that has to do with what I said before, is like he is going to trust the floor. He's going to make sure that the floor is always as high as it could be. And then he's going to trust his stars to get you to the ceiling. Does it always work out in his favor? Absolutely not. Are Grimes and Quickley and RJ and Obi going to have moments elsewhere where it's like, man, they didn't look like that here? Absolutely. But, you know, to turn it around and just like make it such a one-sided thing without seemingly, I don't want to put words in your mouth, without acknowledging like the benefits, is just strikes me as very odd. And, but it's your prerogative, you know? So, you know, to each their own is what I'll say. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? I have an early candidate for this week's detention. Fans that booed Fournier. Come on, man. You always liked Fournier, didn't you, Dom? Yeah, Fournier played a nice game. I don't know about booing him. I don't really care. He got paid very well here. If fans wanted a little bit more for their money, I'm not going to kill him for it, but it is what it is. Jessica, what's going on, Jess? Funny how some fans cry like babies after a win for their beloved losers. The Knicks traded 2 loser teams. This is a little bit too far on the other side, Jess. Hashtag loser mindset. Hashtag whiners. Hashtag don't miss them. No, I mean, it's okay to miss the guys that are not here. They were vital. They were vital parts of the success here. Knicks aren't where they are without Quickly and RJ and Grimes and Obi and, those guys all, maybe with the exception of RJ, those guys all got dealt difficult hands here, and they all had to make the best of situations that were probably less than ideal for young players. And yet, at the same time, you know why I don't really feel bad? And this is the other part of it that I think Busy's comment just completely and totally fails to comprehend, is that the tough love that those guys received here, where you read it in Emmanuel Quickly's farewell letter. He said it. They handed me the fucking green jersey. Like, whoa. Like, what am I going to have to do to get minutes here? I thought based on what I was doing in the preseason, this was going to be enough. Nope. So I would argue that the way the Knicks go about their business and the tough love that those guys got here is the reason why, in part, they are able to go other places and look pretty good. Because if you're going to get on the floor for the Knicks, you damn well are going to make sure you don't take anything off the table. And that is the sort of, I don't know if you want to call it, I don't know what the word is, but there's a lot of teams in the league where they're not giving that to their young players. And we could sit here and we could have a really interesting discussion probably about the benefits of that versus the benefits of letting young players get out there and make mistakes and grow through development and making mistakes. And I think ultimately it probably comes down to the player. Like, players who are going to succeed to some extent, I think, are going to succeed anywhere, and players who are going to fail to some extent are going to fail anywhere. But I really do think the fact that we are sitting here, and again, the way we talk about Grimes, the way we talk about Quickly, these were not just young, intriguing players. These were guys who made winning plays here. And the reason why is because they crossed all their T's and they dotted all their I's because they had to. Because if they didn't do that, they weren't going to get playing time. So, I think the thing goes both ways, for sure. Thanks, Jess. Joseph Emilio, what's going on, Joseph? How are you? Hey, John, love what you guys do. Gets me through the season. Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate that, Joseph. I'm ready for Deuce over Burks in meaningful minutes. Hashtag meaningful minutes. He's hard to watch and looks uncomfortable. He's absolutely hard to watch right now. I mean, that turnover, you want to talk about a swing in the game? That turnover in the beginning of the fourth quarter, I didn't see it. Whether after the turnover, which led to the Pistons scoring at the other end, and who got it, but Grimes. Grimes stole the ball. That turnover, which led to that basket, it felt like Tibbs must have looked over and motioned to Brunson immediately to get off the bench. Burks has to be better, man. He's not been good. He has not been good. Am I ready to glue him to the bench? No, I'm not. He's done too much in this league, and he has too much of a track record for me to mothball him. Give him a chance. I'm telling you, he's going to come through. Meanwhile, I'm looking up, how the fuck are the Heat up at the half on the Kings in Sacramento with a bunch of guys missing? I don't know what's going on. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? Don't give a shit how we got it. A win is a win is a win. Looking forward to you and Fred on the next episode of Pistons Film School after that one. When is Fred on next? I don't even know. I think am I recording with Fred on Wednesday? Andrew's going to yell at me because
there's a calendar, and yes, Fred Katz is coming on the pod on Wednesday. Read Stephen Bondi's last tweet, by the way. The referees made a comment.
So, and Bontemps had it too. So the refs, like they did in the Houston game, acknowledged they blew it. Upon post-game review, we determined Thompson gets the ball first and then was deprived of an opportunity to gain possession of the ball. Therefore, a loose ball foul should have been whistled on New York's DiVincenzo. There you go. So, again, refs made the wrong call, just like they did for the break. Not going to feel bad about it. Just not going to do it. Haitian Ferg with another one. Over under on how many slices Zion ate at Prince Street Pizza. Man, you're making me hungry. Hopefully he stopped by Katz's, not Fred Katz's, Katz's Deli, and then got Zeppelin's in Little Italy. Gotta love our chances. We'll see. The Pelicans are a very serious team. If you don't believe me, just look at their net rating. It might be better than ours at this point. It's right there. So, are they the same team without Zion? No. But I'll be curious what the line is on that game. I don't know if there's a line out yet. I'll be curious. Second night of a back-to-back. Knicks shorthanded. I guess if Zion doesn't play, the Knicks will be favored. I'd be surprised if Zion played if the Knicks were favored. I'd be shocked, actually. I don't think that's going to be the case. As for Katz's, man, I haven't had Katz's in so long. It's been years since I've had Katz's. I could go for probably pastrami. Give me a nice pastrami sandwich. Oh, GMAC's telling me Pelicans currently favored by 2.5. So that makes sense. Kev with another one. Spot on about Detroit and Grimes. I'll do you one better. If there's a prop bet on who will finish with the worst record in the NBA, I'm going all in on Washington. I don't know, man. They benched Jordan Poole recently, and that I know that hasn't led to any wins, but maybe that'll help them. Maybe a dark horse emerges. Maybe someone, although Wemby's playing out of his mind right now. I don't know. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. I mean, the Pistons are going to be trying for every win. I'd probably bet on Washington, though. I'd probably bet on Washington. And then we got another one from Kevin. Okay, enough agreeing with you. Here's something that will grind your gears. Oh, I can't wait. As of right now, I think Deuce over Burks for the playoff rotation. It just fits better. How about this? I think whichever guy, first of all, it'll be Burks over Deuce. I think both of those guys are lining up for a role where they're playing like not a lot of minutes. Because again, assuming full health, which is the eternal caveat for this team this year. Assuming full health, take out the center position because you're getting 48 minutes. Again, assuming Mitch is back. You also have the precious part of this. So okay, Brunson 40 minutes, Randall 40 minutes, assuming he's back. OG 40 minutes. So all of a sudden now, you're down to 48 plus 24. 48, 58, 68, 72 minutes. 72 minutes. And I have not said Josh Hart's name. I have not said Dante DiVincenzo's name. I have not said Precious Achiuwa's name. Excuse me. I haven't said Bojan Bogdanović's name. Playoff rotations are typically 7 guys. So if you do the math, we're arguing about nothing here. Now, do I think they're actually going to go with only 7? No. Excuse me. Let me take a step back. 8 would be bogey. 9 would be getting to the Burks versus Deuce discussion. And again, I'm ignoring Precious. So this team has so many freaking guys. I can pretty much guarantee you nobody's going to play that you're being like, man, this guy really stinks. Or at the very least, the leash is going to be incredibly short. Bernard Richardson. We got spoiled by how quickly OG fit in after the trade. That's not normal. What we're seeing from Bogey and AB is normal. Just hope to see it at full strength, +1 in the win column. Yeah, I mean, I think OG was such a seamless fit, and it's a testament to the level of player that OG Anunoby is. And also, the role. And you know who else it's a testament to? It's a testament to Julius freaking Randle. Because boy, oh boy, is a lot easier to look good when you're playing alongside that dude. On offense, at least, for sure. And to say nothing of playing, and then OG obviously doing what he does on defense, the trickle-down effect of the missing guys, man, it's legit. It's legit. Thanks, Bernard. Tingus Pingus, great name. JB cooked Dante DiVincenzo Saturday. Is Dante DiVincenzo, Jaylen Brown, is Dante DiVincenzo too small to start in the playoffs for Boston? If Hart finds his shot consistently like tonight, would you start him? Protest update. Not in a million years. They need DiVincenzo shooting. It opens up their entire offense. And I think Boston is a extraordinarily unique situation in that they have guys. That's why they are built the way they're built. They could exploit any mismatch. And they're great at doing it. And I personally don't feel like DiVincenzo got like brutally taken advantage of or anything. The thing that I'm more hopeful about is like, give me some OG Anunoby in that lineup. All of a sudden, things look a lot different. So I'm not too worried about that. Protest update. I don't have an update. I don't think we're going to win the protest, but that's my thought. And also the thing about Hart, like he can make 70% of his threes between now and the end of the season. Teams are just not going to respect him in the same way that they respect DiVincenzo, and that's going to change what the Knicks are able to do on offense. Thanks again, Tingus. Brando. Yes, Bogey made shots, but his defensive lapses included 2 fouls on 3-pointers, nullifying his impact. Poor shot selection late, too. -9 tells the story, in my opinion. Yes, defensive lapses, absolutely. And right now, with who the Knicks are putting out there, defensive lapses stand out because there's no one else in the rotation who's really giving you anything but a plus on defense other than Brunson. And obviously Brunson is in his own world as an offensive player. And honestly, like, I think Brunson's defense is better than Bogey because Brunson, he's a little bit, he's able to move around a little bit better, at least, even to make up for his size. He had a great contest on Cade in the fourth quarter, I thought. So again, again, was he great? No. But what he's able to do on offense, they don't have enough of right now. So I'm not saying I'm excusing the defensive lapses, and I'm not saying that the miscues were not big. They were big, but so were the shots. Like to start off the sentence by saying like, yes, Bogey made shots. I think that's a tad too dismissive of the importance of shot making on a roster right now that just does not have enough of that. And you know what they do have? They have a lot of defenders. Doesn't mean you could make miscues. And yes, they stood out. The defensive miscues stood out. You cannot foul who was it there? Grimes on that 3 there in the corner. You can't do that. You cannot do that. I'm trying to be fair here. That's all. I'm trying to be fair. Thank you, Brando. Andrew P. Don't be a nervous wreck. Coach hard, but let play. Asking Tibbs not to be a nervous wreck is like, I don't know. I don't know. Like every coach is nervous. It's not just Tibbs. And the reason why he's a great coach is because I wouldn't call it nerves. I'd call it, I don't know what I'd call it.
Insanity.
Sure. Let's go with insanity. No, he's not going to willingly do anything that he doesn't feel gives his team the best chance to win. That's all there is to it. Okay, here we go. Busy's back. Man, look, me and Busy disagree a lot on some things. You've consistently been not only an important member of the KFS community, I don't know where we'd be without you because you offer a different viewpoint, but your generosity knows no bounds, which I don't want you to think for a second that just because I'll push back on what you say that all of us don't appreciate everything. So get that out of the way. So Busy, thank you for the contributions, plural, tonight. You can justify all the former Knicks situations all you want. Bottom line, they're playing better. How come Tibbs couldn't get that out of them? I haven't answered that question, but I'll keep reading. Precious would have went bye-bye without showing he was valuable if it wasn't for injuries. Again, I'll repeat what so many of your colleagues at KFS have said to you. We can love the coach, praise him for what he does, but also admit he fucked some situations, assuming there's an upcoming, when these players were here and we asked, is it on the coach or is it on the players? He is not infallible. At no point would I ever say he's infallible. And that's because no coach is infallible. We got one more from Busy. Let me read that one. Well, the players answered the question playing better with a different coach. Now answer for your coach. What can he do to be better to connect with the players that may not be a particular fit for him? Okay, so you gave me a lot. Let me try to get on all that. He's not infallible. No coach is infallible. Every coach makes mistakes because every coach has things that they prioritize. And by definition, because you cannot prioritize everything, and it's impossible to always pick. Because what is a coach's job? A coach's job is always to pick between competing interests. If there were not competing interests, it would not be one of the most difficult jobs in the world. It is. That's because there are competing interests, and you're always trying to find the right balance. No coach ever finds the right balance. That being said, does Tibbs skew heavily towards one side? Absolutely. Is it a reason that you get situations where you know, or you knew at some point last season, and certainly this season, that there was more that Immanuel Quickley could have given, especially during the end of the 21-22 season, when it was obvious to everybody seemingly except Tibbs? Absolutely. I'm not, again, the RJ thing, I think these are nuanced discussions. I think to make a blanket statement, why are all of Tibbs' players succeeding elsewhere? Like, I'm sorry, I don't really see it with Obi and Indy. I think the fact that he looks better is, and this is the main answer to your question, I think a lot of it has to do with opportunity. I think it is a lot easier as a player to get comfortable when you have more reps. Now, that is a different story than, let's say, a situation like with Josh Hart, or, even like Bogey, let's say, where, not Bogey, Burks, where you're asking them to do more than they're capable of doing. I don't think any of Grimes, Obi, RJ, or Quickley is being asked to do more than they're capable of doing in their current situations. They are being given more of an opportunity to do what they are able to do. What they were never able to do here, I would argue, is get as much reps on the ball, or in Obi's case, just simply get enough playing time and enough of a role in the offense to show everything they could do. What did Obi get in Indiana? He got a little bit more run. He got put in a better system, and he got the best passing point guard in basketball, and a stretch five. So, like, for me, Obi is like, it's almost completely situation dependent. Again, I cannot in good conscience speak to anything Grimes has or has not done in Detroit, because it's been whatever it's been, 3 games that he's played there. So we'll see. But again, with that, I think it's going to be probably more of a product of, there was not a situation here where they could do more because of the other guys that were on the floor who were just flatly better than, let's focus on Grimes, And you know what, by the way, and again, we could go back to whatever may have happened at the end of last season over the summer, where he knew the writing was on the wall and he was playing in his own head. But there were a lot of situations this year when Quentin Grimes had an opportunity to do more, right? And didn't. Now, maybe that speaks to your point. Why couldn't Tibbs get that out of him? Well, like, again, go find a coach in the league has a situation where they're always getting the most out of all their players all the time. Steve Kerr just got who is a guy I know you've praised in the past, and God knows you've praised the Warriors in the past. That dude just got $17.5 million a year for the next 2 years. And you had half of the Warriors fan base, if not more, wanting to run him into I don't know where you run someone that gets fired, the poorhouse. I don't know where. Run him out of town. How about that? Because of everything that was going on there, because of his, insistence on playing vets. And now Jonathan Kuminga is looking like the second star that Steph Curry needs. Well, what was Steve Kerr doing? Why? Like, I'm not trying to deflect attention from Tibbs, but just to pretend like this is a Tibbs only issue, when every coach in every Spo, you could, like, Kyle Lowry looked pretty freaking awesome playing for Philly in that one game we saw him. Well, what was going on in Miami? Why did he fall in other? Like, anywhere you go, you can find situations where coaches did not get the most out of certain players. Does it seem to happen more with younger players with Tibbs than veterans? Absolutely. That is the perception. And there is a leg to stand on when it comes to Quickley specifically. You want to tell me RJ's getting, more opportunities where he doesn't have to do much with the ball, and it's more like they're letting him be a finisher in Toronto? Sure. I look forward to seeing how much that shit's going to fly against high-level defenses and in playoff situations, when teams are game planning and all those sorts of things. If anything, I would argue that RJ was given the chance to spread his wings here and do more over the years. And I think the fact that I think it's a very interesting thing that Toronto has done, which is to basically say less is going to be more for you, dude. We're not going to have you doing all that stuff. We're going to take some of that responsibility away from you. That's very interesting to me. Because what was this guy supposed to be out of college? Supposed to be a guy you could give the ball to and have him create stuff. Well, he hasn't really had, been asked to do that as much in Toronto. Look, Busy, I think as with a lot of these things, these are nuanced discussions. And the reason why I tend to get very emotional about them is because, nobody's willing to have nuanced discussions about anything anymore in any walk of life, let alone sports and the NBA. But it does feel like people are more willing to have time to have more nuanced discussions about players as opposed to coaches in general, but also this coach, where, again, you get a lot of the blanket statements, which is why I get so incredibly defensive. Do you make good points? Absolutely, you make good points. There's validity here. As you said, people that or my colleagues here at KFS, they've preached all the same stuff you're preaching. So, but I think there's layers to this. There's layers to it, and that's why I think it deserves a deeper discussion, especially when, as you kind of pointed out, there's a lot of good that comes from what Tibbs does as well. And the challenge for me has always been, how do you disentangle the good from the bad? And to know, like, well, we want column A, but we don't want column B. Well, maybe you can't have it both ways. Maybe it's actually not two columns. Maybe it's one column. And if that's the case, maybe that speaks to that. Maybe he's not as great a coach as I like to think he is. But that's why these discussions are interesting to me. Thanks, Busy. Appreciate everything tonight. A couple more that we're going to get out of here. Abdoulaye Diallo, we need to put into context what we are missing. 2 all-defense caliber players and a 2-time all-star and an all-NBA player. Amen to that, man. That's why we're playing Jericho and Deuce over 25 minutes. Chill, guys. Preaching to the choir there. Yeah, everybody's being overextended right now, and it's tough for role players to look good when they're being asked to do more than they should be. Alex, fair to wonder if there's something about Tibbs and his system that especially exposes players who are black holes on defense. Kemba Fournier, now issues with Bogey. The Kemba Fournier thing was just, I think it was a bad fit in a number of ways, and I think the offensive payoff wasn't there. You were relying so much on the center spot because, again, you had those two guys out there with who? With Randall and RJ. Randall, not a good defender, or inconsistent. And RJ, who the Fournier Kemba season, I did not think his defense was particularly good for much of that year. So you had one positive defender in your starting lineup. The thing with Bogey, I don't think it's a Tibbs system thing. I think, if anything, Bogey is playing these minutes, a lot of these minutes, because he's coming off the bench, where you have Sims as the rim protector, the final last line of defense. I think part of why the Knicks defense has looked as good as it has over the last several years is because you had, first it was Mitch and Noel, and then you had Mitch and Hartenstein. And after Mitch went down, you had Hartenstein playing like 40 minutes a night. So you really had close to 48 minutes of elite rim protection. You don't have that right now. Now you have your Hartenstein minutes, whatever you're getting him for in whatever state he's in, which I don't think is all the way back. And then you go down from there. So I think when you do have a minus perimeter defender, it will stand out a little bit more. I don't know if I put that on the system, although I guess if you do want to put it on the system, because what is Tibbs' system all about? It's always about that last line of defense. You need that last line of defense. There's a reason he has held on to Mitchell Robinson like grim death when his name has come up in like trade rumors. Thanks, Alex. Sam Garcia's dad, IQ should have been 6th man of the year. Hard to say Tibbs didn't get much out of him. Yeah, I mean, like he looked awesome here. He looked awesome. And like I've looked at the numbers, not recently, but I've looked at the numbers in Toronto. I mean, I don't see a big look, it's not like Quickly has gone to Toronto and averaged like 30 and 10 or something. I mean, that would be absurd. But like he's gone there and he's done exactly what I think we expected him to do, which is look really good. He was good tonight. Thanks, Ray. Zeke Smith. What's going on, Zeke? Best Knicks team since the 90s. Why are fans acting like we traded 4 all-stars in RJ, Quickly, Obi, and Quentin? Our team is way better now since the trades. Sleeper Eastern Conference Finals contender. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. Like you gotta give to get. I mean, the OG trade exists in its own universe. I'll say this: for as much as I've been defending the Bogey trade lately, or what do we agree to call it, the Fournier trade? I feel a lot stronger about the OG trade, and it's because you're not getting that guy. You're not getting that chess piece. You're not getting that chess piece in a league where that chess piece means everything. If you're trying to win playoff games, you are not getting him without giving up some serious shit. And I believe Toronto was not making that trade if Quickly was not in it. So, there you go. Thanks, Zeke. Brando at Andrew Claudio, your overall thoughts on the game. There you go.
So thank you, Brando, for asking my thoughts on the game. A little behind the scenes here at Knicks Film School. So the Knicks play the Pelicans on Tuesday night. I spent from the middle of the first quarter to just before the fourth quarter doing a pregame pod, which will be available to all of you at 3 a.m. So I mostly watch the game through the Gamecast overlay. So it's why I don't have much of the anxiousness or agita that a lot of Knicks Twitter has at the moment. Watching John, XJ, and Benji react to the final 30 seconds, minute of the game was something, though. So I encourage everybody, we tweeted out the clip if you want to go check it out. My thoughts on the game: they got away with the win. And I think at this point, as shorthanded as they are, you need to get away with as many wins as you possibly can, which includes a little help from the Zebras, which took one away from us a couple weeks ago. So I'll take it at this point.
Is there a lot of agita on Knicks Twitter?
I think in general, the agita was felt throughout I mean, I haven't really scrolled through Knicks Twitter. I just scrolling through the chat and some of the comments being like, oh, we escaped with that one, Yeah,
they definitely escaped. I mean, again, it was going to be my lead to the post game. Give Pistons credit, man. They played good.
They did.
Played really well.
It was specifically the one former Nick. Fournier was fine, but I didn't. In what I saw in said fourth quarter, it was really the Quentin Grimes show, which good for him. He had a good 14, good 12 minutes.
Can you? I'm not going to ask you to do that.
You have to. Now you can't start it and not then ask me.
At the beginning, in like the first minute of the game, I was like, or maybe even before the tip off, I don't even know. I said, "Watch this." Watch, we're going to get a Cade Cunningham like 5 for 7 from 3 game. He went 5 for 7 from 3.
John Macri, look at you.
Listen, Captain Blind Squirrel over here, I don't find many nuts. So when I find a nut, at least let everybody know about the nuts that I have found. Because I'm proud of those nuts, and I earned them, and I cherish them a great deal.
What size nuts do you cherish, though?
Oh, see, now you took it too far.
Because it wasn't already implied, sir.
Did you catch my conversation about porn during the watch along?
No, again, I was doing a pregame pod during most of the game.
Missed that one. That was a good time. That was a good time.
Yes, don't worry. It'll be up available for those on Patreon in the mellow tier and up if you want to rewatch and catch John's conversation with XJ and Benji about the Pistons and I guess some pornography as well.
And Kiss Cam.
And Kiss Cam. Oh, the fun that happens in between is where'd that conversation go? Were you like, instead of the kiss cam, you should play
do you really
something
want me
else?
to do this? No, I was just commenting on the if you're gonna do the kiss cam, at least maybe show, like, there's a lot of attractive people in New York. Maybe just show some of the attractive folks in the stands and try to get them to kiss.
Oh, you're like playing matchmaker, is what you're saying.
I just don't want to watch ugly people kiss.
Okay.
That's all.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah. I don't think
Shout out to ugly people.
Listen, ugly people are people too, so it's all good.
Exactly. We're not saying you're not people. Just shout out to you if you're watching.
Nobody's ugly. Everybody has beauty on the inside.
But we don't need to put everybody on the kiss cam. No.
It's unnecessary.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you, Brando. Zach Horowitz. Wow. Well, happy birthday to me. No tears this year. Happy birthday, Zach.
Happy birthday, Zach. I saw this earlier. I was hoping you'd chime in tonight. Happy birthday to you, my friend. Glad they got the W.
Zach's an OG KFS supporter, man. Thank you for chiming in and always contributing.
And then last one.
Tingus Pingus. I love this name. Does the Bogey Burks trade scare you now that in the playoffs, teams like Boston can exploit them in bench minutes? I feel like Bruce Brown and Quickly trade picks to keep him over them. Trade picks to keep him over them would be huge improvement. Again, I am of the belief that they were not getting OG without Quickly. And if they were getting OG without Quickly, I think it would have made a significant enough dent into their own draft assets, meaning not the protected picks, but the own picks, that it would have significantly inhibited their ability to make a hashtag meaningful trade down the line. So that's that. As far as Bruce Brown, look, I think they were in on Bruce. I mean, the reporting suggests that they were in on Bruce Brown until the end. And part of it was that the Raptors wanted, again, a good first, and they were not willing to. Now, was it a good first and Grimes? I don't know. Personally, I'm finding myself in the vast minority here. I'm really excited to see what Bogey in particular can do in the role that I think he should be in the playoffs. I think he could thrive in that role. I think he could be a difference maker in that role. I think he will help the Knicks in that role. And more than anything, I think there were two prerogatives at the trade deadline. You had to do something with the Fournier salary slot, and you had to do something with Grimes. And was it the best trade in the world? Maybe not. Was it the best trade that was available to them? I fully believe that it was. And I don't think but ultimately, again, it is going to come back to Grimes. If Grimes turns into a better version of Danny Green, let's say, where he's playing 30 plus minutes a night for teams that could end up in the finals, the trade is going to look bad. I think part of the Knicks calculation, again, is that is not going to be what Grimes is long term. Because you know what? If they thought he was, I don't think they would have traded him. It's flat out the case. We'll see.
And that'll do it for tonight.
Okay. Wow, man. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This was eventful, right? We had a lot of fun. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, like the video here. Slam that like button if you haven't already done so. We appreciate that. Gets people to watch what we do, and hopefully then get more people to watch what we do. If you're listening on the pod, 5-star ratings always help. Review, that's always good. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. You got the pregame pod that Andrew recorded. You got postgame with Andrew and
a newcomer, Chris Connor, who's from Boot Crew Media. He runs their spaces. So a newcomer, someone you've never heard before.
On the postgame tomorrow.
Oh, you mean the postgame? Okay, that's the pregame pod. The postgame's me and Sean tomorrow.
Oh, you and Sean. Okay, I was like, oh, yeah. Wow. That's, yes, so you and Sean. So I'm excited already to tune into that, win or lose, as should everybody else. And that's it. We'll talk to everybody later. Peace out.